Hello again. So I was asked to do a video on World War II German military gas masks quite a few weeks ago now by a viewer. Thank him for that suggestion, whoever you are. But all the stuff's been put away for the time being because I'm expecting builders, so things have been boxed up and bagged up. But these are available to hand. This video will give you a good idea of what is out there in terms of the good and the bad, and perhaps the Frankenstein made up German respirators. German respirators from World War II, the ins and outs of them are getting almost as complicated now as German steel helmets. It's very hard to get one that's totally original. So you really need to know what to look out for, especially nowadays with the cost of these things. These things can cost up to £200 in the tins. Usually nowadays an empty tin would be married up by a dealer with a gas mask without a tin, and respirators we'll get to throughout the course of this video. So by the end of this video you'll have a good working knowledge of what to look out for and what to avoid. I'll be mentioning some related gas mask tins that I don't possess, and as a continuation of this video, like I did with the British light anti-gas respirators, there's a post-war Bundeswehr gas mask which it'll play its part, if you see what I mean. So what I've got here is a Model 30 gas mask and a Model 38 gas mask. That's all that was issued to the German military in World War II. We're not talking civilian, we're not talking home defence things. The standard military gas mask that you see in the tubular containers is either an M30 or an M38. There's various different types of containers, which we'll go into. So, during World War II, the German military employed two types of gas mask, the M30 and the M38. The M30 had a facepiece of rubberized cloth with a backing of soft leather. The M38 was a simplified version made of all rubber. Now, a variant of either mask can be found with blue metalwork, indicating it to be for use by those in contact with compasses. These masks had 4 different filters will be encountered. Now, because the housing to screw the filter on is a standard 40mm screw filter, sometimes dealers will fit a post-war non-World War II Bundeswehr filter off the later M54 mask and pass it off as World War II. World War II filters for the World War II mask can easily be identified because they will be stamped in raised letters, FE in capital letters, for filter Einsatz, which kind of roughly translates as combat filter. Post-war filters do not have that feature. Between 1930 and 1945, a total of 5 metal carrying containers were used. Now, this M30 mask in there has a 1935 to 36 case, which in the row of 5 gas mask cases, that's the second one issued. And the M38 has the later 1938 to 45 case, which is the last case to be issued in the lineup of 5 cases. Now, you may encounter a World War II case, which looks like one of these cases, but on the lid, it's got the word Medi in capital letters. These don't have them because they're World War II, but on the lid, if you see a case and on the lid it has the word Medi, M-E-D-I in capital letters, in raised letters, steer clear of it, because although it looks like a World War II one, it won't be. The Medi marked gas mask case I've seen being offered as dealers as genuine World War II, but irrespective of what colour it's painted, any gas mask case in the tubular form with Medi on the lid is a post-war case from 1951. It's a civilian industry case. The firm of Medi, which still goes today, is a kind of pharmaceutical company. It was formed after the guy who formed it absconded from East Germany to the West and set up the company in 1951. So a case marked Medi from 1951 will not be a World War II German case, irrespective of what dealers say. A proper World War II case may be encountered entirely covered in cloth for sound deadening. Now that was done after the war with surplus cases for the first issue West German gas mask case. So originally the M54 mask that's in there would have had one of these cases entirely covered in cloth, and that would have been the first generation of Bundeswehr gas mask case. Now in 1958 the Bundeswehr wanted to shy away from the World War II German appearance, so they ditched the cloth covered cases and instead introduced this pattern case, which is the second pattern. This is the 1958 pattern. In 1954, a lookalike for the World War II mask made of new material became West Germany's first gas mask, which is in there. The M38 case has a special paint coating, which is it's a special isolation NBC paint finish, which makes it easier to clean. It's patterned on the World War II, but as you can see, they are distinctly different. You'll never mistake one of them for one of them. Now, both the M54 mask with the M58 case were used until 1961. Then it was replaced by the M61 mask in a bag, and then the M61 mask gave way to the M65, which was used until the 1990s. Now, in the World War II cases, the mask can be fitted complete with its filter attached. In the post-war case, the mask is in the bottom and the filter's in the top, which is a bit difficult if you need to put the two together in an emergency, and that's why they eventually ditched this design and went over to a cloth bag in the new M61 mask. In a lot of instances, and we'll have a look in close up, the straps that come with these, there's a shoulder strap that goes around the guy's chest, and there's a shorter strap with a clasp on it that fits underneath the combat belt. In most cases, all of these wartime cases will be refitted by dealers with post-war Bundeswehr straps. So all of the straps on these are post-war Bundeswehr, and that's one of the good uses of this case. You may notice that this case is still available as a surplus item. It's handy buying the case to take the straps off, because more often than not, these World War II cases are devoid of any straps. So they're a handy thing to get. But they are of thicker, better quality webbing material than the original World War II German ones were. And that's why usually the World War II German canisters don't have the straps anymore, because they rot off and they snap and they're disposed of. And again, we'll take a look, because this one still retains its original World War II webbing pull strap, and we'll compare that to the later Bundeswehr webbing material. So we'll have a look at the masks. Also, there's a reason why you may encounter the M38 in what dealers call Afrika Korps colours. If a dealer tries to pass you off a World War II German gas mask that's painted tan as Afrika Korps, do not believe him. After the war, like all surplus items, other countries took on other countries' surplus stuff. A large quantity of World War II German gas masks were employed after World War II by it was either the Dutch or the Danish civil defence. I think it was the Dutch civil defence. And they painted all the metalwork on the German World War II gas masks in what looks like Afrika Korps tan, but it's actually post-war Danish or Danish civil defence. Yeah, so if you see one of these World War II gas masks painted Ordnance tan or Afrika Korps, just say to the guy selling it, you do realise that's a post-war Danish colour for the civil defence. So don't believe it when they try to pass them off as Afrika Korps, because they're not. Because like I say, like all other surplus items, they all went to other countries after the war. For a while, these completely masks could be had for very little money. Hopefully this video will help you determine whether the one you've got is a right one or a wrong one, or a Frankenstein made up one. Now these things tend to change hands at about £200. So if you're going to spend £200 on what you think is an original, you need to know that every single bit is original. The straps If they come with original straps, that's an added bonus. Usually they don't. They usually have these post-war Bundy ones on them. But if you're buying it as an original World War II, you expect the World War II mask inside it, not a post-war 1955-54 model, and you expect a wartime filter in it, not a post-war one. So hopefully this video will go somewhere to show you what a proper World War II one looks like, as opposed to a post-war. These things, I can remember once over when these were £10 each all day long. Now they tend to change hands about 60 quid. The straps, that one on the pull thing there, that doesn't come off, that's sewn on. Sometimes they snap off like that one's done. The straps tend to sell for about £14-15 a set, because people know they're good standings for World War II. So the Medi one that I mentioned tends to sell for about 60 quid complete with its mask. While it looks World War II, it's not World War II if you're a perfectionist. But one with Medi stamped on the top of it, although it dates from 51, and shamefully some dealers are selling them as World War II. It's a reasonable standing for reenactment or a dummy or display, because the general public isn't going to know the difference really. So it's 60 quid. It's a cheaper alternative to the £200 plus of an original, or nowadays you can get, like anything else, Chinese knockoffs of the same tins. So hopefully this video will determine whether what you've got is a Frankenstein made up or completely original piece. So we'll have a look at some. So we'll go with the M30 first. Of all the gas mask cases that were issued during the kind of Weimar period, a couple of them were like World War I type patterns, to right the way to the last one, which is your typical World War II that you see in all the war films, the long pattern one. You will see all patterns in service in World War II, makes no difference. They all served side by side. Obviously the later one would not have come out in 1930, but by the time you get to 1944, all of them would be side by side. They wouldn't have the same one. They would only be issued the same ones if they went back for repair or replacement. But by and large, you generally get a mix and match. Usually, by the time you get to late World War II, they're completely devoid of masks anyway. So the masks in this one are probably not even original to the tins. After the war, you get loads of containers that were emptied when the threat of gas attack died off. Soldiers often discarded the masks and they used the containers for a bottle of something or to carry food or whatever. So finding one that's been with its container forever is almost impossible. So always assume that at some stage that the mask is not original to the tin, and always assume that the straps that are on it are post-war rather than wartime. That is to be expected. But what's not to be expected is when you open the tin that the mask is 1954 model and the filter's post-war. So we'll take a look first, if I can nail down, at the model 1930 in the 1935 to 1936 second model tin. So put this little stick there. I'll nail down here. So this is in the lineup of the 5 tins that the Germans had. This is issue number 2 of the tins, and it's if you don't have the other one to size it to, see that 2 different sizes. Easiest way to recognise it is it's got a clasp on there like an ammunition box, and it's got 3 rivets there. That's the second model. You normally find various penciled in details where it's been reissued over the years. You very rarely get any maker's marks on it. That's the original German webbing. That would have been the straps as well, but if you look at it, you can see the quality of the German webbing. It's very thin and very brittle. The West German Bundeswehr is fairly thick. So that's in no doubt that the straps on all of these are West German Bundeswehr, because these German webbing straps, they don't last at all, especially if you're constantly pulling them about. They'll snap. And also the metalwork on these Bundeswehr ones, they've got that reinforcing bit in the middle, not a feature of the World War II ones. So Bundy straps on your World War II gas mask canister, it's to be expected. Also, no straps are to be expected. There's plenty out there that you can buy. The straps are held by 3 welded kind of keepers. They're there. Tins fluted for strength. On this pattern, the 1935-36 pattern, it's got a lift clasp that attaches to a hook there, a bit like an ammo box. And it's got a hinge there, and you pull the tin up like that. Inside, you've got a compartment that is fixed to the lid. That normally takes your spare lenses or a cleaning cloth. You won't get one with that stuff in place. Dealers sell them separately because they know they can get more money. If it comes with them in place, that's a bonus, but it's to be expected that it's going to be empty. And inside, you've got the mask. We'll take the mask out. As you see, it's got the filter attached to it, ready for use. Inside, and I don't think the repros have this, but I may be wrong because I've never handled the repro. It's got a separate little tin liner that goes all the way around the inside. So that's the actual case, second model of this case of the 1935-36 model. Inside, in this instance, it's the M30 mask. It could be a later mask that you encounter because dealers just put a spare mask in a spare tin. They're not bothered about what pattern mask goes in it. It's a World War II German mask. The model 30 mask is come here. It's a face piece of it's rubberized cloth, and it's got a backing of soft leather around the inside. It's backing of soft leather, and it's cloth, but it's rubberized cloth. So that's the M30 mask. Attached to it is a 40mm diameter filter. Be careful because they could put a NATO filter on or a post-war filter. Sometimes you get them dated, it's size number 2. Sometimes you get them dated, sometimes not. Sometimes they get refurbished. That's got the guy's name tag in it. Okay. The filter is interesting because the filter, to determine a wartime filter, you see it's got the letters. If I can get it in a certain light, I'll tell you what, I forgot to put that. I forgot to put the light on before I did this video. I'll put the light on. There we go. On the filter, on your World War II filter, you should be able to see the initials FE. And it's 37. You also get FE 42s. Like I said, there was different filters. So World War II filters have FE on them. Post-war filters don't. And there's other German bits and pieces on, maybe a date as well. You know, and they were made and issued right up through the war. I mean, one didn't give way to the other. They will be issued side by side. So that's an FE 37 filter. Now, this, I'll put it up there. This is the M38 gas mask in the last model of the 5 tins issued. This is the common 1938 to 1945 issue tin. It's a much taller tin. It's got, in this case, the same Bundy straps attached in exactly the same way. You've got the straps that go over the guy's shoulder and over his chest. You've got the bit with the hook on that goes under the combat belt at the back. And the difference is with this one, the pull tab's missing off this. It's got a spring pull tab. Where that was like an ammo box pull tab, this is a spring pull tab. And it latches down there. It doesn't latch up here. So you undo that and you pull it up like that. And inside you've got the similar spare lens case. And inside you've got a similar looking mask, but it's a later model. And as you see, the filter's attached to it. Now, whereas that one is ink stamped FE, that one's ink stamped FE, the filter on this one is actually pressed into the metal. So that's an FE42, again, wartime filter, not a post-war one. But the colour scheme is not Africa core. You get a lot of these late respirators, M38s, painted this colour. It's post-war Danish civil defence. And what makes this one different to that one is it's all rubber. It's not cloth covered. See? And sometimes you get these with all these metalwork painted blue, which indicate it can be used with compasses. And that filter will quite happily screw into that one. That one will screw into this one without any problems at all. So that's the two World War II gas masks. So they're the only two German military masks that the German soldiers carried in these funny little containers on the backs. Now, after World War II, like I mentioned, they carried on the gas mask, but it was brand new. It looked World War II, but it had to be made of newer materials because we're now heading into the kind of the jet age, the nuclear war age. So in this one, the problem with this tin is the filter is not attached to the mask. The filter only goes part way into the tin. If I can get it out. It's been a while. Come on, you bugger. I need to maybe twist it. Turn it, maybe give it a bang on the floor. There we are. It's a bugger this when you have to do that. But yeah, the filter only goes part way down. And as you see, it looks like, if I can move that out the way, it looks to all intents and purposes like a World War II filter. But if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. There's no FE marking on that. That's a post-war filter. But it's quite easy to get that filter attached to one of these World War II masks and passed off as World War II. Well, like I say, for it to be World War II, it must be marked FE on the back of the filter. So that's a post-war filter. And inside is a lookalike of the World War II mask. See, it's got a tinned interior. And inside in the bottom is a mask that looks like the World War II one. The rubber's perished there, but it's in your typical Bundeswehr greeny rubber. It's got like a cloth suede inside, but to all intents and purposes it looks World War II. So one could quite easily pass that off as a World War II mask when you look at those, because it's the same, but not. That's the 1954 model. So for this model of mask, they reintroduced surplus World War II containers covered in cloth to deaden the sound. Now, because they didn't want them to look like World War II soldiers, the Bundeswehr quickly dropped that in 1958 and went over to that container, this container here. The problem with this container is, as I've shown you, the filter does not fit in the tin with the mask attached. So you can imagine in a nuclear war, you're having to hold your breath while you part about getting that out, putting it together and putting it on your face. It's also covered in what's called a special anti-nuclear contaminant paint, which is easy to wipe off. It's held by a kind of similar to World War II clasp, but there's nothing World War II about it. It comes down and it hooks under the little eye there. When you open it up, the box looks like the World War II box, but it's not, it's different. It's set at a higher angle because, as well as opening this way for your lenses and your cloth, it's also got a little tab there that you push. And when you push it, the whole thing will, honest, the whole thing hinges upwards to give you a little cubby hole in the bottom to put stuff in. And you put it back down like that. And because of the problems with that case, they got shot of that mask and went over to the Model 61 gas mask, which is outside the scope of this video. The Model 61 will be issued in a bag, and the Model 61 mask was only issued from 61 to 65, was replaced by a Model 65, and the Model 65 mask will be worn right into the 1990s in a bag. So this is a basic look at what to look out for to determine the wartime German mask from the post-war issue mask. Because the last thing you want to do is spend £200 on a mask in a container and find out it's either a post-war Bundeswehr mask with a World War II filter on it, or it's a World War II mask with a post-war Bundy filter on it. How annoyed would you be if you looked at it and bought it and then perhaps saw this video? So there's probably going to be some disappointed people out there, because you're all going to be grabbing your gas masks and examining them. But yeah, it takes a standard 40mm filter. So anything could be screwed onto it. And the dealers could rip you off. So you need to be careful. It's nearly as much as a minefield, as I say, as German steel helmets. So that's the ins and outs of the World War II German M30 in the 35 to 36 pattern tin. The World War II German M38 in the 38 to 45 pattern tin. And the West German M54 in the M58 tin. So if you learn something from this video, brilliant. I may at some point in the future do a similar video regarding jerry cans, if there's enough interest. But I think jerry cans have been covered on YouTube by other people. But we'll see anyway. But I need to have the builders finish first before I start anything remotely huge. I'm expecting a new electric fire and a back boiler at some stage, so I've had to move tons of stuff. So it's a little bit in bags and boxes at the minute. But I kind of know where everything's at, because I've been finding some bits and pieces I thought I'd mislaid. So yeah, World War II and immediate post-war German gas masks. I hope you find this interesting and last the 26 minutes. Bye for now.